Thank you very much, Maria. Or do I need to say President Chloe? I never know what the...
Maria's goes.
It goes, great. It's a pleasure to be here, and I have enjoyed my day immensely, enjoyed seeing the clinic presentations, and I enjoyed visiting the leadership class and having a discussion about some of the issues that face leaders and leadership issues. And I'm very honored to be invited to this very distinguished event, especially in light of some of the other speakers you've had, Jerry Held and Robert Bach, and of course Bill Gates. But today I'm going to talk to you about a leadership journey I've been on the last 4 years, about the company I lead, the vision and strategy we created, the innovations we've embraced, and some of the leadership lessons I've learned along the way. And it was funny because Maria and I were sharing just before we came over here about some of the things she's learned in sort of a similar amount of time here at Harvey Mudd, and it's amazing how similar our experiences have been. I embarked on this journey with a bit of trepidation, not having previous medical device experience. As an engineer by training, I worked in R&D for the first part of my career at AT&T, Bell Labs, and Motorola before moving into general management. And I've worked as a general manager in large companies, and I've also been the CEO of a very small company, Vocera Communications, though it grew quite a bit while I was there. But all of that experience was in computing or telecom. In 2002, while I was still at Vocera, I joined the board of directors of Welch Allyn, and I became its CEO in 2007. So this is a story about a leadership team that includes myself, the executive staff at Welch Allyn, a group of executives who have been with the company anywhere between 2 years and 30 years, and our owners, the fourth generation of the Allyn family. So I'm going to start to tell you a little bit about Welch Allyn. I'm going to tell you about our journey through a series of stories, and the first one starts right at the beginning, when William Noah Allyn and Dr. Francis Welch first started Welch Allyn in 1915. And they started Welch Allyn to actually produce and sell an invention that Dr. Welch had come up with. And what he had come up with was a directly illuminated ophthalmoscope. And today you're very familiar with those, because if you go to your primary physician's office or your eye doctor, they'll get up really close with that light and shine it in your eye, and they're looking to see the back of your retina, and that's an ophthalmoscope. But back in 1915, an ophthalmoscope took a room probably the size of this corner here, and it was used only by a specialist. And so this invention enabled that room full of equipment to become a handheld instrument, which is used by every general practitioner in the United States and in many parts of the world. So that was how we got started. Today we're a global manufacturer of medical devices and technologies. We're still privately held. Sadly, Dr. Welch died just 6 months after the company was founded, and the Allyn family bought his share of the company from his estate, and they've owned the company ever since. We have sales, service, research and development, manufacturing operations in 50 countries, and we have 2,600 employees worldwide. So this is just a smattering of where we're located. And I've been asked today a lot about travel. I travel about 50% of my time, and I've been to every one of these facilities at one point in the last 4 years. What I wanted to do is just give you a feel for the company I lead, because as I tell you this story, it might be useful to know this. Welch Allyn makes products in 3 basic categories. We make over 6,000 stock units, SKUs, and we provide our customers who are physician offices, they work in clinics, they work in hospitals, and a big customer of ours are medical schools, because every medical student has to get a diagnostic set, and that's the otoscope and ophthalmoscope to meet their practical requirements. So you'll see our physical assessment tools are in the left column here, and that's the ophthalmoscope at the top, which really hasn't changed that much in 100 years. A newer version of it is on that wall unit below it, and then even a newer version, one that we're actually going to release in September, is below that. But in addition to the otoscope, ophthalmoscope, we make stethoscopes and scopes you don't want me to talk about right here, but literally that look in every orifice of your body. Okay, let me just say that. We also do vital signs measurements. So everything from a single parameter, like blood pressure, could even be a manual blood pressure, electronic blood pressure, electronic temperature, all the way up to patient monitors that connect to central stations that are used in ICUs or other critical care areas of the hospital. So we have a wide range of vital signs devices and products. And then we also do cardiopulmonary. So we make EKGs, stress systems, and spirometers. So that's sort of the range of things that we make. Now, my story is when I joined Welch Allyn, it had been a very successful family-owned business that was consistently performing well for its shareholders and serving its customers around the world. But one of the tasks the board of directors gave me was to develop a business strategy to assure Welch Allyn's continued success. And that was a challenge given my lack of experience in the industry. But I was familiar with strategy processes, and I brought in a consultant I knew from previous experience to work with our executive team. I was providing the process, but all the business expertise was coming from the existing executive team, a team who had, by the way, no experience in developing a strategy. So it was kind of an interesting combination. This is an overview of the strategic planning process we used in both 2007 and 2010. I'm not going to expect you to go through this, and I'm not going to go through it. But I just want to point out that we went through a significant process in 2007 and again 2010 when we did a major strategy refresh. But what I wanted to tell you about was that in our 2007 kickoff meeting, our strategy consultant, Nancy Comfrey, asked each member of the executive team to vote on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being low and 10 being high, the sense of urgency they felt that the company needed to make a change in direction. The average was over 8, and I was floored. The company was doing well, and yet the entire executive staff felt that our future was in jeopardy without a major change in direction. This provided us with the impetus we needed to evaluate our situation and come up with alternatives. So we started by looking at the context in which we operate, the customers we serve, and the competencies we bring as a company. Then we went through a period our consultant called divergence, where we looked at as widely diverging number of options as we could come up with for potential options for Welch Allyn's future. And then ultimately, we narrowed those down to a few strategic options for consideration. Finally, we presented our strategy to the board of directors for approval. And along the way, we involved more than 200 employees, partners, customers, owners, and board members in the process. We identified, first of all, the context we were operating in. So this is actually from our 2010 strategy, and since it's like more relevant than the 2007, I thought I'd show you this, but we did a similar thing back then. So one of the things that's interesting to us is the size of the market, and it's $4 trillion is spent on healthcare globally, and we just feel like we're not getting our fair share. Some of the things that we had to take into consideration as we crafted our strategy is what's happening to the population around the world, and there's a global demographic of an aging population. The population of over age 60 is rising from 11% in 2009 to 22% in 2050. Chronic disease, particularly for the elderly, and infectious disease rates, particularly in hospitals, are expanding worldwide, and we're facing worldwide an increasing shortage of physicians and skilled nurses. And then there's healthcare and regulatory policy. Boy, this is really complicated because everything we do has to be cleared and approved as being safe and effective in the United States by the FDA, but in other parts of the world by the relevant agencies. Now, nothing would make the healthcare industry happier than, especially medical devices, is if there would be a harmonization of all those requirements so that if you were cleared in one country, you could operate in all of them. But in fact, it's getting more and more complex, and that creates a lot of challenges for us. And there's a lot of other changes happening in healthcare, and it's kind of interesting because in different parts of the world they're different. Like in the United States, you've heard a lot about healthcare reform with a goal of reducing the per capita spend on healthcare in the United States. Whereas countries like China, Brazil, and India and Mexico are trying to increase their per capita spend on healthcare. So all these things create interesting opportunities or challenges for our business. And then finally, the competitive environment is very challenging because we see industry consolidation happening around us and increased foreign competition. So there are medical device companies springing up everywhere around the world, and because it is a global marketplace, we're all competing against each other everywhere. We have cost and value-driven customers, particularly after the tough economic times we've had the last few years. And I've already talked about how complex global medical regulations are getting. And then we also had to realize that there are some things that may be changing in a positive direction for us, like there's anticipated incentives for telehealth, home health care, and remote care. So that was sort of the environment in which we were creating our strategy. And then we identified our customer needs based upon care settings and acuity levels. So here's another story I want to share with you. Steve Meyer, who was on my staff in 2007 and still is, in 2007 identified in one customer setting, which is the physician's office, what our customer wants. What he felt our customer wanted, our customer, the physician in that single physician office or 3 or 5 or 10 physician office, wanted technology that was easy to use. They wanted to be able to bring in a new device and not need to bring in an IT specialist because most physicians are not IT specialists. And they wanted to be able to have those devices talk to each other, share their data with each other, and automatically send the data to an electronic medical record. And ideally, you want a device that's upgradable. So if you paid $2,000 or $3,000 for an EKG and a new algorithm came out or a new sensor came out, you'd like to be able to update that without having to go back and buy the whole piece of equipment again. If you brought a new piece of equipment into the office, you'd want it to be able to communicate with the ones that were already there. Now, our group, the executives, agreed. That's exactly what physicians want to see from their medical equipment, particularly in the general practice office setting. And I said, well, I know how to do that. That's easy. We need a platform. So our long-term executives knew our customer needs, and my experience in a different industry combined to create a new strategic direction for Welch Allyn as we set out to create a platform. This sounds really simple to people who are here at Harvey Mudd, and you've been working, I'm sure, on many industry platforms, on many computing platforms, many telecom platforms. But it's actually very unusual in the medical device industry, and hence the change of migrating from that sort of device focus to the platform focus. Now, there are things we have going for us at Welch Allyn, like we have great relationships with our channel partners, physicians and nurses. Almost every physician, when they're in medical school, buys a Welch Allyn diagnostic set. And we have we've demonstrated meaningful innovation over and over again. We've done the same type of thing that William Noah and Francis Welch did in the early days, and that is we've taken complex equipment and we've made it simpler to use, and we put it in the hands of people who are less well-trained, like from a specialist into a general practitioner, from a general practitioner to a nurse, or from a nurse to a family caregiver. And then we have now created this open platform that allows frequent new product releases, third-party application and interface development, and flexible and extensible configurations. So here's our 2010 strategy statement, that we're going to grow to $1 billion in revenue in 2015 by providing healthcare professionals innovative diagnostic solutions in physical assessment, vital signs, and cardiopulmonary. Those are our 3 categories, which increase access to information, improve business efficiency, and enhance patient outcomes. And these are things our customers told us are important to them. And we'll deliver this through an open, flexible, and extensible platform to customers who value the long-term committed support of Welch Allyn and our partners globally. So what we do at Welch Allyn is we translate a strategy statement like that into specific strategic objectives. So to maximize the value of Welch Allyn by 2015, we will. We have revenue growth goals. We're a private company, so I don't have to share them with you, but we have revenue growth goals. We have an international growth goal. We have a goal to diversify our revenue sources, to have not everything come just from devices and their associated disposables or consumables, but also from software and services. We are going to aggressively pursue innovation, and of course we want to do all this in the context of profitable growth. So the key to our strategy was to implement our platform for the development of solutions, and this was a significant game changer, or a change in mindset for employees, customers, shareholders, board members, and channel partners. It seemed pretty straightforward to me, coming from my computing and telecom background, but it's a very different approach for medical devices. We were breaking new ground here, and it was not obvious to folks in the company that our customers would come along on this journey. So here's what we're doing. Traditionally, Welch Allyn has made medical equipment, and so we start at the bottom with our core products at the point of care. These are products in the categories of physical assessment, vital signs, and cardiopulmonary. And then we add onto that software and applications. And I know it seems amazing because almost every device runs software and applications, but medical devices don't. Typically, you can't upload an application, certainly not one written by someone outside the company. But we're creating a framework to do that. And actually, our customers and channel partners are pretty excited about it. And then we are also creating standard interfaces to our equipment so that third parties can also plug their sensors into our equipment. And we're starting to create an ecosystem of partners, both at the software and the sensor or sensor module level. Then we've created a number of interoperability and connectivity kits. Again, it would be really nice if there was only one electronic medical record in the world, or if everyone used the same interfaces, but they don't. So we've decided we can't control what all those electronic medical records companies do, but we can control our interfaces. We can make them standard, we can create standard SDKs, and we can make it easy for third parties to make the connection if they want to. So we have now 80-some connectivity options, and more we're trying to demonstrate connectivity not only with those electronic medical record companies, but also with other medical device companies that want to share data across the network. And then we developed, again, something that's pretty unique for devices in this category, remote services and support capability through something we call platform technical services that we deliver through the cloud. And this is also unusual for devices at sort of our end of the spectrum, which is kind of the low end of the spectrum. It's very common, you know, if you have a big imaging device, you know, yeah, if you pay $1 million or $2 million for it, they can remotely dial in and diagnose it for you. But it's kind of rare for devices like these. So that's also kind of a unique capability our platform affords. And then finally, we're going to provide an integrated solutions gateway so that other medical device manufacturers that want to leverage the same capabilities we have with our services, with our connectivity, can do that easily through one of our devices. And that's something our big competitors are not going to do because they want to own the whole pie. But we think we're going to make ourselves very customer-friendly, very partner-friendly, because partners and customers want to be able to choose the best breed equipment and still have it communicate with each other. So that was our platform approach, and it's pretty unique because the business we were in 2006 was just that bottom little tip of the pyramid. So when we developed the platform, it was a real change for the entire company. And what I'm showing here is the first product that we launched, and we launched it last August, that has that whole pyramid behind it. It's a device, but it also has connectivity features, and it it has the service support, and it was literally the most complex product we had ever launched in Welch Allyn's history. So we had, in the past, we've had pretty happy customers, distributor partners, salespeople, and product marketing folks who knew a lot about the customers, how they used our products. And so whenever we upgraded or introduced new products, we did only limited market research with our customers and distributors. But when we began to develop the first new platform products, we knew we needed to change the way we developed and launched products. We went to an outside professional research firm and tested our positioning, and we were really surprised at what we learned. First, we learned that our customers want to be called healthcare professionals or clinicians, not caregivers, which is how we traditionally refer to them in all our product literature. So now we're kind of going through and purging that word caregiver from all our literature and going back to a healthcare professional or clinician, or if it's appropriate, a physician or a nurse. Secondly, our customers gave us the positioning of an electronic vitals signs documentation system. And this is why you see that EVD up there. It's electronic vital signs documentation system. Again, that's not something that really existed. We sort of created that positioning because our customers said they needed it. And it's something our customers welcomed. They turned out to be concerned about immediate access to accurate information, patient safety, and more efficient workflows. And the Connect's electronic vitals documentation system gave clinical decision makers immediate access to information that they needed to make confident decisions. And this end-to-end solution can also help significantly reduce clinical errors that put patients and facilities at risk. So this was a big learning, and is changing the way we develop solutions. Our customers gave us specific feedback on the user interface, workflow, and features that were important to them. And I'm going to give you guys a heads up, like in about 30 seconds, I'm going to show this video. Because using our new platform development concepts, we were able to take that feedback, roll it into the products before they were released, and when they were ultimately installed, nurses recognized their own contributions to the system. They said, it's like we designed it, and we said, you did. So when we launched the Connect's Vital Signs documentation system last August, we did this video with one of the hospitals that had helped us create the user interface and the workflows and understand the advantages. And I just wanted to let a customer say it in her own words. So I'm going to show you this video. Let me make sure I know how to get out here.
Thanks very much for having me do the most exciting part of the presentation, and truly the most emotional and energizing for me as a nurse executive, having a nurse executive position across the nation as well as represented here at St. Joseph's that has already been stated. The magic of what we're going to present to you today is it's not only adapting excellent, high-tech, wonderful technology, but this collaboration effort that we have committed to, both with Welch Allyn and St. Joseph's, is about workflow. It's about taking great technology, but spending the time on what it means at the bedside, truly, and how that impacts great clinicians and the outcomes of patient care. So it's in my opinion, the emotional part of this is kind of a magical moment, as has already been touched on a little bit. So some of us have, in technology, I've adapted from a very great mentor, our CIO, likes to use the word magic. And when we get to be able to put all the pieces together with technology and practice, we can let the magic part of the presentation begin. This time we can use the new Welch Allyn brand new Connect system that you've started to hear so much about. You'll notice, yes, we can clap. As you can start to notice, our nurse has most of what she needs, if not all, right at her fingertips to be able to, again, as I alluded to earlier, what's crucial to the art of nursing practice at the bedside is our ability to perform tasks, but to truly assess, connect, gain a relationship with a patient in a very short period of time. So having technology consolidated and at the fingertips of our direct care clinicians is going to be able to provide that level of relationship and care that our patients deserve. You'll notice as our nurse is able to interact, Joanne's able to interact with Ted as she was taking these critical steps of information collecting. She's able to perform the vital sign checks right there without leaving the bedside. As you can see, just to restate that again, the difference between Ashley and Joanne is Ashley at this point would have had to have left the room up to 3 times to be able to collect what Joanne is able to perform right now, right here at the bedside. So truly, it's one of the first types of technology adaptation that we can tangibly, technically say we are saving time and providing more time for the clinician to spend time with the patient at the bedside. All the values that Joanne is collecting, she has the ability to have them come up very timely on that machine and validate them right at the bedside. All the values are being automatically captured at this time and downloaded into the electronic medical record. This eliminates that need for the nurse to stop and manually enter values into the computer, or to stop, and that risk that we've had of documenting those critical elements someplace else and then in the pocket of the nurse at some point is going to be documented. Here we've got that automatic download capability. And as you can see, we have one of our hospitalists, Dr. LeBounty. He's able to already check his patient's latest vital signs using his BlackBerry. Immediate data at his fingertips, helping him make timely decisions about care. Dr. LeBounty, right away from any location. Thank you, Dr. LeBounty.
Okay, let me see if I can get this back to here. I never get tired of seeing that because, you know, when your customers love your product that much as she does, it's kind of cool. So as a result of moving to this platform approach, we've been able to launch many more products and continue to innovate on them than we could in the past. Last year, we launched 17 products in 1 year, and that was a record for Welch Allyn. And this year, we're going to launch 20. These are the 20 products we're going to launch. Some of them are upgrades to previous products. Some of them are sort of new-to-the-world products. But you'll see that they are not only devices, but they move up the pyramid through software, connectivity, and services. So given that the topic of this lecture series is leadership, I wanted to share with you some of the lessons in leadership that I am learning as Welch Allyn continues this journey of going from a device manufacturer to a solutions provider. You know, at its heart, leadership is influence. And casting a vision, developing a strategy, creating the right environment, giving people the tools they need to succeed, and then setting people free to accomplish their goals. In theory, all of this is quite straightforward. But leading a change as significant as the one we are making at Welch Allyn has forced me to challenge my traditional ways of leading. You know, leadership's not about hierarchy or title or status. One time I had this guy who was on our platform architecture team, and he came to me sort of a year and a half, 2 years into it. You know, it was hard work. It was hard work creating the architecture and moving all of her products over to the platform, and it was hard work getting people to see the potential. And he said to me, Julie, if I had a vice president title, I could do this much more easily, because I would just tell people what to do and they would do it. And I said, you have got to be kidding. I'm a CEO and I tell people what to do and they still don't do it. So, you know, it's not really about the title. My challenge was to learn to engage at multiple levels in the organization. And it was a tall order for someone so new to a company with a 100-year-old culture. I needed to challenge old mindsets and capture people's imaginations. So as we began to think about changing our strategy from selling medical devices to delivering solutions to our customers, it became clear to me that I needed to take ownership for helping everyone at every level of the organization see our future the way the executive team had come to see it. So I started in 2007 by sharing with the entire company what I thought we could be in 5 to 7 years. I quickly learned I was just scaring people. No one in Welch Allyn thought we could change that fast. The executive staff has quarterly off-site meetings with a consultant, Henry Cloud, and we discussed what practical steps could we take to get the entire company taking this journey together. And I'll give you 2 examples of what we did. On the advice of Matt Chatterton, our VP of Communications, I met with groups of 15 to 20 employees starting in engineering and asked them what worried them about the platform. Why were they concerned about it? What did they think? What did they think we were doing wrong? And by this time, by the way, we were communicating a pretty watered down version of it because I knew I couldn't roll out the whole thing at once. So as we understood their fears about all the changes we made just kind of a prioritized list, and we addressed the issues one at a time. And not only did folks feel heard, but we also were identifying real risks with the platform and dealing with them before the first product launch. Another thing we did was in late 2009, our then Senior Vice President of Strategy, Doug Lindquist, suggested that we get a small group of executives and managers together with our strategy consultant so that we could agree upon and describe the next step in the evolution of the platform. As a result of our discussions over a 3-month period, Scott Gucciardi, who's now our head of R&D, came up with the pyramid I showed you a few minutes ago to describe our platform vision. It's gotten traction over the past year and provided a basis of shared understanding between the owners, the management team, employees, and channel partners. Every time we launch a product, we ask ourselves, have we made sure that we've filled in every level of that pyramid? We've completed each of those layers. Back in 2007, when we identified the need for a platform approach, no one in the company could articulate what a platform was or what it could do for us, except me and Karen Hendricks, our CTO, who I brought in to develop the platform architecture, and a handful of people on her team. Now, every one of our 2,600 employees can not only describe the pyramid, but they can tell you how their annual work plan contributes to its implementation. One of our core values at Welch Allyn is to communicate to understanding. In order to execute on our strategy, I needed to engage all the company's stakeholders and make sure we had shared understanding of where we were going. So we did this through informal meetings. We did it through formal meetings like quarterly updates and global management team meetings. I did a number of around-the-world tours and met face-to-face with employees and said, this is what we're doing. And I did blogs, we did web chats, and I just would walk around the floors and ask people, you know, did they understand the vision? Did they know how they were contributing to it? On this listening tour, I was in one of these skip-level meetings with engineers, and one of my most memorable meetings was when I described my vision for how our devices could host third-party applications. And a bright young engineering leader named Chris Keegan told me, we don't have an application framework on the CVSM, and we don't know how to create one. I mean, we had to get it out on time, and we just didn't have time to figure it out. And I thought, great, this was news to me, as it was a key part of the whole platform strategy. And apparently it was news to him that I expected us to have one. So I gave Karen Hendricks, our platform team leader, the assignment to figure out how to do applications on the CVSM. 13 months later, Chris and his team demonstrated the first application to run on the CVSM. And next month, we're going to launch version 1.7 that has an application framework. By the end of the year, we'll have our own Welch Allyn applications as well as third-party applications running on the device. And that will be a first in medical device history. We also identified opinion leaders throughout the organization, and I met with them periodically to hear their concerns and ideas. One of those leaders is John Tierney, who is VP of US and Canada Sales, our largest region at the time. John kept protesting that he was just a sales guy and he couldn't understand all this platform stuff. So he would invite me into meetings with our channel partners to describe what we were doing with the platform. One day, about 2 years into it, John was making introductions at a meeting with one of our big channel partners. And he started out by saying, Julie's going to tell you about our new platform strategy. You see, we're moving all of our devices to a single diagnostic platform for innovation. And in the future, you will be able to differentiate yourself from your competitors by having a unique bundle of sensors and custom designed applications. He went on to describe how the platform strategy would work for that partner, and I never had to say a word. We were making progress. Another of our values is customer intimacy. Our platform strategy was born with a vision for how our customers wanted to leverage emerging technologies to improve workflow and enhance patient care. And we're still on our journey, but we have enough solutions out in the market to know that we've hit the mark. I'll give you two examples. You've already heard I live in Skaneateles, which is not too far away from Syracuse, and St. Joseph's Hospital, the one you saw demonstrate the product there, is in Syracuse. And I can't tell you how many times I'll be in Syracuse, like out to dinner or walking along the street or over to see an SU game or something. And someone from St. Joseph's will come up to me and say, I work on floor 2-4. And we love your device. It's changed our lives. We love working with that system. Those nurses really, really like it. And I just talked to the CEO of the hospital before I left on Monday, and she said, every floor is bugging me for an electronic vitals documentation system. And I said, good, that's good to hear. So we're coming out with a wall-mounted version. Welch Allyn's really known for our what we call our integrated wall system. And that's integrating many of the things that physicians use all the time and nurses use all the time, the otoscope, the ophthalmoscope, blood pressure, thermometer. And we're coming out with a Connects version of it that's connected, and it's essentially that device that you saw on the stand, but it's going to be sort of laid out on a wall. And one of our product managers, Rick Farchione, had that wall unit at a community health center show. And he was describing to a nurse who was there, who was the head of a community health center chain or area. And he explained to her what this integrated wall system was going to do for her in the future. And she was asking, well, what? She said, okay, so what is it? And he said, well, that's our medium compute platform up on the wall, so it'll automatically transfer vital signs data to your electronic medical records. Well, that's good. And then she said, now what are those little, there's sort of little blank slots there. And he goes, well, that's so when we come up with new parameters in the future, you don't have to buy a new wall. You can just install those, and you can upgrade the system you already have, the wall system you already have. And as she continued to ask questions and he continued to describe, you know, that we're going to have remote service for this and she's going to be able to download applications in the future, she starts walking toward him. He's standing right in front of the unit. She starts walking towards him with her arms out, and he was nervous. He didn't know what to do. And she walked right past him and she put her arms around our wall unit and said, I've been waiting for you my whole life. So, you know, there's a lot of passion for this among our customers, and we're excited to see what they're going to do with it. Another of our values is to build our talents, and leaders need to be learners. Our entire executive team had a lot to learn. The newer members of the team, including myself, had a lot to learn about the medical device industry. Those who had years of experience had a lot to learn about strategy formation and platforms. Throughout our journey, we've used outside resources to give us different insights, points of view, guidance, and counsel. That helped all of us learn new ways of doing things, understand new technology, develop talent, create partnerships, analyze our competition, and be on the lookout for other strategic drivers. Some of the resources I'm using are management consultant Henry Cloud and strategy consultant Nancy Comfrey. I participate on company and industry boards where I get exposed to new ideas. We use 360-degree feedback tools, and we get a lot of feedback and valuable input from Welch Allyn's board of directors and the Allyn family. The entire executive team is learning the value of leveraging resources both inside and outside the company. So if I were going to summarize my leadership learnings, I would say you got to be passionate about what you're doing because you're going to run into a lot of obstacles, and without passion, you'll get stuck. And then communicate, listen, communicate, talk, clearly express the direction you want to go. And communicate, ask a lot of questions, and understand where people are and where you may be missing things. Trust your experience, persevere, and then fail fast, learn fast, and fix fast. Thank you very much.